Hey, what is up, friends? You good Gypsy back here today. It's been a little while. It's been about 2 weeks or so since I uploaded my last video. I've been off the grid for a bit. I've been sick. I had a pretty nasty flu that I'm just kind of getting over just now. And I've been pretty busy with just stuff going on. But yeah, we're here today with a special match, ITL Week 8, I believe this is, up against my good friend Akki. And yeah, I hope you guys are hyped for this one because it's definitely going to be a fun match. Akki is, yeah, like I said, he's a good friend of mine. This is his league. He's the commissioner of the ITL, and he is a very, very good draft player. He's definitely one of the, he's in the top level of players in my opinion in the draft format, and he's got a really threatening team. He's also got Kieran Black on his team apart from the six that he's brought to this game. So that was definitely something, I had to really, it was a huge pressure when building for this team. Akki is, yeah, he's more than likely going to make it to finals. He's a regular finals player. If he doesn't win finals, he's makes it to finals anyway. So he's definitely a likely candidate for the finals. So we could well face him in finals. Reason that kind of makes this game not so critical. It's more of a scouting game, kind of getting into each other's heads, seeing what how the other will prepare. I'd say it's safe to say that neither of us are going to bring our best teams in this game, but obviously we both want to win, and yeah, we're definitely going to be able to try and come out with a W here. And I know Akki is going to be packing some power for sure. As you can see, the team he's brought here, he's got Mesprit. He's got the Tapu Fini to change up the terrains from Lele's terrain. It also checks stuff like a potential Carmine Suicune really well. He's got the Conkeldurr there, which is an enormous threat to my defensive core. And Conkeldurr just runs through my team, defensively anyway. I knew on paper, before I even walked into this game, that Sheer Force Life Orb Conk was a massive threat. As you can see, he's brought it, so yeah, big threat. Like, nothing I have on my team can avoid a 2-KO. Like, that's just how ridiculously strong this thing is, and it gets amazing coverage. So yeah, Conk is a huge threat, and then you've got Drill, which complements Conk's breaking power. He's brought Arcanine, which could be a number of things. It could be a defensive variant to take on like an offensive Decidueye, like to take on an offensive Cobalion. So that's something I'm going to have to kind of scout for. It could also be an offensive set to assist in the breaking of my team. And then he's got Snorlax. Snorlax could have been like Assault Vest or something. Looking at his theme, like he doesn't have like a switch into Psychic, barring his Mesprit if it's like an Assault Vest variant, or potentially a really bulky Excadrill. So I felt like Snorlax could be an Assault Vest variant. It could also be a Curse variant, like a Spadef Curse variant, or any sort of setup variant. So that was definitely gonna sort of force me to leave my Coolfish around if Snorlax is waiting in the back. I don't want to sack off Coolfish early. But yeah, the team I'm bringing today, I'm not going to go into too much depth into it, but we have defensive Coolfish, Specs Lele, defensive Landorus, offensive Air Balloon, Cobalion, a defensive Decidueye, and a Wish passing Licky. So I'm going to jump into the match. I look at his team and I realize that like he doesn't really lose too much by leading Mesprit. If I lead with Quillfish, he can taunt or scare me out with Psychic. Spikes really hurt his team, and I do have Decidueye to potentially block Spin from Excadrill, so if I set up Hazards early, it's really going to pressure him. The fact that he has Drill means that he probably doesn't have Defog Fini, and if he does have Defog Fini, then he's less of a threat to my team offensively. So I felt as though he'd want to pressure my Hazard setters turn 1. If he's like Hidden Power Ice, he can threaten potential Stealth Rock Orlando, or just whittle me down with Psychic. He may have Magic Bounce too, which is definitely a way that he can get spikes up on my side of the field, which would be nasty. So yeah, I felt as though he'd lead off with his Mesprit in an attempt to counter my Hazard lead. So I'm going to lead off with my Decidueye just to scare him out, just to see what his switch into Decidueye is. And that's actually what's going to happen. So we do get the lead matchup right off the bat, as he does go for the U-turn here with his Mesprit. He's going to go out into his Arcanine here. We're going to get off a defensive Spirit Shackle off on his Arcanine. Now this reveals with the Intimidate drop that's still at 24%, so this is definitely an offensive Arcanine. And this is quite interesting, offensive Arcanine. So he's looking to have a very offensive team. And I'm going to make the switch out into my Qwilfish here. I don't expect him to go for the Wild Charge. And even if he does go for the Wild Charge, we live too with our Black Sledge Recovery and the Intimidate drop. And I can always just Pain Split up. But he's going to go for the Flatlets. That's definitely banded damage. And this turn I am going to get up a spike, I believe, as he is going to go into his Conkeldurr, which is a big threat. So this is probably like a guts variant of Conkeldurr because of how willing he was to switch into my Quillfish on a potential Scald Burn. Definitely could be Sheer Force though. That was more than likely what his set was going to be. Also, the way he switched in Conkeldurr may indicate that he was sort of bluffing his guts. Nonetheless, I do expect him to be a Sheer Force variant, as it is just that much stronger with the Life Orb versus my defensive core. So I'm going to make the switch out to Landorus here, as he's going to make the play of going for Ice Punch. Now, the reason, whilst this looks like an incredibly obvious switch on my part, going out to Landorus, I need to keep Qwilfish healthy. I need to keep it around. Qwilfish is like a catch-all check to stuff like Arcanine, Curse, Snorlax, and Intimidate drops on this Conkeldurr are essential for the rest of my team to be able to tank it a little bit easier. I can also haze like a Carmine, Tapu Fini, and Pain Split up and Poison Jab that. I don't have Stab to hit Excadrill, but I do scare Excadrill out with stuff like my Air Balloon Cobalion and my Decidueye. So Qwilfish is essential, and I'm just purely based on how much of a force of havoc this Conkeldurr is to my team. I had to make the switch there. I had to preserve. I didn't want to be taking an Life Orb, Sheer Force, Thunder Punch, or an Earthquake to my Qwilfish, and he knew that. He knew that I couldn't risk my Qwilfish. And if I had stayed in, I couldn't have really done much to the Conkeldurr because Qwilfish is not that strong, and Conk is really naturally bulky, so I was forced to switch there. I could have gone out to my Tapu Lele, but Tapu Lele is such an enormous offensive threat to his team that it just wasn't worth the risk of risking, one of my best win cons versus his team. So whilst losing Landorus is unfortunate, it does allow me to go out into my offensive behemoth versus him and just click Moonblast right here, as he is going to switch out to Fini. And now Fini is not a switch into Specs Lele. You're going to see why. He's going to take 58 from Moonblast, easy to echo. The spike obviously removing any possibility of him somehow surviving that, but it's going to be forced out. He's going to switch out into his Excadrill, wanting to preserve his Fini, so he could have sacked his Fini off there, but this means that he's going to be able to go into his Drill. He can take 1 at this point, so his balloon is now popped, so he can be threatened by like a Hidden Power Ground or something. Not that I have it, but I'm going to switch out here, go into my Cobalion, as it is a pretty safe switch in. He could have gone for the Iron Head, predicting my Decidueye to come in there, but which he did go for. It wasn't worth him clicking Earthquake because I more than likely had Air Balloon on Cobalion, and if I didn't, I was going out into Decidueye anyway. So he's going to pop my Balloon here with Earthquake, with Iron Head, as I am going to go for the Iron Head here. Now this is interesting. He chooses to stay in here. I don't know if I really agree with this because he did have Mesprit in the back. He had as a switch into close combat. This Excadrill also tanked another Moonblast from my Tapu Lele, so he could sack him on, sack his Tapu Fini off to a Moonblast later in the match, and then switch back into Excadrill, taking a round of spikes, and still survive another Moonblast. So I felt as though he would choose to preserve his Excadrill here, as it can get a big hit off on my team, or at least get rocks up for his own side, which would be pretty useful for him. But he chooses to stay in here and just go for Earthquake on my Cobalion. So yeah, Akki's making some very aggressive plays, but they're really working out for him. So yeah, it's all definitely working out for him in that sense. But we're going to go for Psyshock here, as Excadrill is going to go down, and he's going to bring in his Mesprit here. Now, I figured this would be either a Spadef, like a Spadef bulky variant with rocks, or an Assault Vest variant with Iron Tail perhaps. I'm going to switch out to my Decidueye here just to scout. If he does have the Iron Tail, it is going to, not do too much to the point where we can't roost up, but he's going to go for the knockoff there, and he's definitely going to be able to 2-KO us here with a knockoff, as I'm going to switch out this turn, go out into my Licky Licky, as I will be able to just wish up on this Mesprit if I'm expecting him to stay in. But playing off the fact that he knows that I can wish up and potentially pass into Qwilfish or Decidueye, I'm going to go for the knockoff here, wanting to catch his incoming offensive threat, which more than likely would come in versus Licky Licky, as that's what people do. They tend to switch in big offensive threats versus Licky Licky, predicting the wish, as knockoff here is going to do a ton to this Arcanine with the crit on that turn. It's kind of unfortunate because this is going to limit the amount of times his Arcanine could switch in with spikes, so that definitely sucked for my opponent. But you're going to see he chooses to sack off his Arcanine to this Licky Licky anyway, just to give himself a free switch into his conk, so it's not going to be too big a deal here, as we are going to Wish up, and he's going to go for the Wild Charge, predicting my Coolfish to come in here, but I'm just going to stay in and Wish. I knew that I was out of range of close combat at that range of health, because he had lost his Choice Band, so Licky Licky is looking in a pretty good spot, as he's going to click close combat that turn and lower his Spadef and his defense. And this turn I am going to go for the Protect and just Wish up with Licky Licky, get him back to a nice amount of health where he can, 1v1 the Mesprit, where he can, take hits from the Snorlax if I need him to, if he's like not a setup variant. But yeah, his Finny's going to start clicking Moonblast here, so he's revealed to be like definitely more of an offensive set. He's shown to have the lefties. Then he clicks Hydro Pump here, which reveals to me that he is more than likely a Carmine variant, but he refuses to Carmine up. So I think he's trying to keep my Licky Licky whittled, as I am very adamant about clicking Knockoff. I don't want to give him a free switch into his Life Orb Conkeldurr. I want to be able to knock that off on the switch, which means that my Coolfish will be able to take it on far easier. He also probably doesn't want to give me a free switch into my Tapu Lele if I want to go hard into that on a predicted Carmine. So he's going to eventually start going for the Carmines here, as you see. He's going to start getting the boost, and this is definitely a bit scary. I can, 1v1 him with my Licky Licky, but I'm going to be left at a very low health at the end of it. So I'm going to go into my Coolfish here, knowing that he's at now at +2. If he clicks Hydro Pump, I can live the hit and proceed to receive the Wish from Licky Licky, restoring me back to full health, knocking him out with Poison Jab the next turn. He's going to go for the Hydro, and he misses. Like I said, it didn't really matter, because I was going to get all my health back with the Wish the next turn. You're going to see he's going to be able to fire off the Hydro Pump this turn, though. You're going to see how much it's going to do. So the Moonblast does 54, so Hydro wouldn't have taken me out from that range of health, as Poison Jab will be able to revenge the Tapu Fini. So that's definitely an annoyance out of the way. That's one mon that's one less mon for him to switch into into Moonblast essentially, or Psychic from my Tapu Lele. So he's going to go into his Mesprit here, as I am going to go out into my Licky Licky. He's just going to go for the Magic Coat here in case I decided to go for Spikes. I could have been like a faster variant of Quillfish there, and Magic Coat was really nice prep by Akki to kind of counter a Spikes play on that turn if I wanted to like sack off my Quillfish. But like I mentioned earlier in the match, Quillfish is essential to stopping potential Curse or Belly Drum Snorlax from ruining my day, because from full, like, my Tapu Lele can't necessarily Oko the Snorlax with Psyshock depending on his set. I would like to have Spikes up, or at least some chip off on the Snorlax before I attempt to win with Lele. So I'm going to go out to my Licky Licky here, as he's going to go for the Rocks as I knock off. He shows Culber Berry, so yeah, I don't have to worry about him being like a Solfest. I know he's shown Rocks and Culber, so this Mesprit isn't too much of a threat, but I'm going to click Knock Off this turn, again, just knowing that he's probably going to switch out this turn into his Conk on my obvious Wish, as we do knock off his Life Orb. So this means Coolfish is going to have an easier time taking on this Conkeldurr, although it's still going to be taking a decent chunk from like a Sheer Force Thunder Punch. As I'm going to go into my Decidueye here, as he does click the Drain Punch. I was sort of sacking it off here. I do get some chip with Spirit Shackle, but it's not really going to matter because Lele Okos it from full anyway with Psychic boosted specs stab. So I'm going to click Psychic here, I believe, as this Mesprit is going to get easily to a KO. I knew I outsped because we naturally outsped and we crept Mesprit, of course. This is actually a speed tie here with his Arcanine, but I didn't want to risk it. Like I said, Lele is my win con, no need to risk it. I'm just going to go out into my Licky Licky as he does fire off a Wild Charge this turn. He crits me, it's not really the end of the world. I think, yeah, like I crit him earlier, so it's like, it's whatever. This turn I'm going to go out into my Coolfish. I don't expect him to go for the return here, and even if he does, getting Coolfish's Intimidate off on the Snorlax will prevent his return from taking me out from this range of health. If anything, I think he's going to start setting up with the Snorlax, so I don't want to allow him to do that freely. I'm going to go out into my Coolfish here, as he is going to go for the Belly Drum. He's going to eat his berry, and he's going to be back at full at +6. So this is why we save Coolfish for this exact scenario, and I'm just going to click Haze this turn. You're going to see his return is not going to be able to take Coolfish out, and we are going to be able to get a nice juicy pain split back which is really nice. In that scenario, if he had switched out to Conkelda on my pain split, I would have got a decent amount of health back on my Qwilfish because Conkelda has a really high base HP. I would have then sacked off my Licky, brought in my Tapu Lele, and OHKO'd with Psyshock. I could have then, if he'd switched into Snorlax, that would have easily been 2KO by Psyshock, and then I would have had, then I would have won with Lele right there. But if he'd sacked off Conk, I would have switched back out to Qwilfish as his Snorlax came back in, got the Intimidate drop, kept him low with Pain Split to the point where Lele could just OHKO him after Qwilfish goes down. But that's just sort of theory modding alternate scenarios. But this turn he's just going to start clicking return. He crits me there, which is not the end of the world because I can just Pain Split back up again. Just keeping this low is all I need. The fact that he's like below 80 means that he's guaranteed a range of Specs, Psyshock, something like that. I think the calc was. As yeah, he's going to continue to just spam return here. I'm going to click Spikes. The reason I clicked Spikes was if for some reason he had like max defense conk, like max defense, max attack, like I didn't want to risk Psyshock guaranteed kills, like it was just overkill there, but I just wanted to, you know, kind of guarantee I was in a position where you know, his Conkelda couldn't somehow survive the Psyshock. So Lele's going to come in here and just click Psyshock twice, and there's going to be the game. But my man reveals Protect, just kind of messing around, and Conkelda is going to drop to this Psyshock. So that was the game versus Akki. Very fun game. He used his Conkelda really well. Definitely utilized its breaking ability versus my team to its fullest potential. So yeah, definitely hats off to my man for using it so well. And yeah, he definitely brought a very powerful offensive team. I have no doubt we'll play again later on in the season. You know, with playoffs approaching, I think we have, like, at this point in time we have one week left of the ITL. So after that, playoffs will begin, and Akki is looking to be in a spot where he's just going to get a first round bye, which is pretty awesome. So we're going to be able to, you know, sit back and watch the playoffs commence. And if Akki makes it through, if we make it through, we'll face him in finals. So that will be pretty tight. And no doubt there will be a fun rematch right there. So definitely go and check out Akki. I'll leave his link in the description for those of you guys who haven't already found his channel. I definitely recommend you go and check him out. He's a really good friend of mine, and he's a very good content creator and a very good draft player. You'll learn a lot from watching his stuff. So yeah, definitely go and check him out. I hope you guys enjoyed. I apologize for being absent for the past 2 weeks. Like I said, this is the first time I've been able to talk properly in about a week's time. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one though. It is definitely a hype match. I know a lot of people were looking forward to me and Akki playing just because we're pretty known. So that was hopefully a match that you guys can enjoy. So if you did enjoy it, leave a like on the video. Let me know what you guys thought of the match in the comments. Yeah, I got way more ITL content coming. Like I said, this is week 8, and I just played my week 11 game today, so there's heaps of content coming. Get hyped for that, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.